Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Comic Call. I am your host, Dylan Lang, and I'd like to welcome you to the newest episode of the Comic Call, my weekly show where I talk about what comics came out this week and show you some of the covers and the art inside, tell you a little about the story. This week is a special week. It is Baltimore Comic Con week. This is actually Baltimore Comic Con Eve. I'm filming this live on Thursday, the 27th. Baltimore Comic Con runs September 28th, 29th, and 30th, right down at the Baltimore Convention Center, right in the heart of the Inner Harbor, in between the Oriole Stadium, Camden Yards, and the Inner Harbor is the convention center. There's tons of hotels. There's going to be tons of talent down there, media talent. In fact, they might all be here right now or going to be coming in soon. Lots of people are going to be there. Tom King, Dan Slott, I think Jimmy Palmiotti, Amanda Connor are going to be there. Frank Miller's going to be there. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo are going to be here. There's a lot of people from across the pond are going to be here. It's a huge amount of creators and artists. So come on down. Plenty of tickets available, plenty of space. Highly recommended. It's going to be a great weekend, and it's going to be a fun comic weekend. I'm going to attempt to try to get down there by Sunday. So tomorrow Friday, it starts about 2 p.m. Runs, I think, late into the evening, like around 10 o'clock-ish, I guess, 8 to 10. And then all day Saturday and all day Sunday. I think it ends around 6 on Sunday. But it's well worth it. It's a really good convention. Plus, they're going to have a lot of media people there. Mike Coulter, who plays Luke Cage, is going to be there. Will Wheaton, Sherilyn Fenn, Aaron Gray, Trisha Helfer, Zachary Levi, all kinds of people are going to be down there as well. So we got a ton of people here, and it should be a total blast in Baltimore this weekend. So come on down to Baltimore Comic Con. It's at the Baltimore Convention Center Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I would recommend going to the website and buying your tickets and printing them off from your computer, because the lines to get tickets are absolutely insane. The cosplay costume contest is on Saturday. So if you want to do something like that, go on in on Saturday and get your cosplay on and win some prizes. So that's going on. Other news, sad news, Norm Brayfogle, longtime artist of Batman, passed away yesterday at the age of 58, which is really young. Norm was one of my favorite Batman artists and was the one I really kind of grew up with, to be honest. When I was reading Batman, his stint on Detective Comics with Chuck Dixon was an amazing run, and I'm pretty sure it was Chuck Dixon who did it. But it was an amazing run and very distinct artwork, and he will be missed. It's fantastic. So Norm Brayfogle died. So this week we got a lot of stuff. It's interesting. Marvel's is interesting this week because all the ones that I got are basically really like one character, and you'll see what I mean in a second. And then there's some other really good number ones out this week, and it's a pretty good week for books. So if you are going to Comic-Con and you haven't gotten your books yet, this might be a good place to go and get your books too, because it is actually a pretty good week. As always, to start off with DC. DC's big book of the month, year, whatever, is Heroes in Crisis #1, written by Tom King with art by Clay Mann. And this is basically going to be a 9-issue miniseries done, in the Tom King way, about a sanctuary for superheroes who are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorders and stuff like that. It also becomes a murder mystery, and it's a intensely intense, hard read, and some gorgeous artwork. I mean, this artwork by Clay Mann is just absolutely stunning. And Tom King always has a really interesting story. Lots of death in the book as well, and just really, really nice, stuff. I mean, it looks really, really good, and it should be one of the best stories of the year. Hopefully, it's 9 issues, so get it on the ground floor while you still can right now. I got to tell you about this one, Justice League Odyssey #1. This was actually just come out about 2 months ago. It's written by Joshua Williamson with art by Stephen Sedgwick. I love Stephen Sedgwick's artwork, and because of what happened, he's only going to be doing 2 issues of this book and then moving on because he's got other commitments. What had happened was, they had Josh Williamson got the story in on time, and Stephen Sedgwick got the artwork in on time. But what happened was somehow DC server or something like that crashed or deleted the master artwork of Stephen Sedgwick's Justice League Odyssey book. All his artwork was gone. Not his problem. It's something that the DC computers did. So he had to redraw issue 1 from scratch. So this is not the original issue 1. This is the redrawn version. I'm sure they probably stayed the same, and Josh Williamson might have decided he wanted to change some stuff up a little bit. But the artwork, as always, Stephen Sedgwick is one of my favorite artists, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And I love his artwork, and I'm sad to see that he's only going to be on a couple of issues because of that problem. If they wouldn't have had that issue, he probably would have been on for a little bit longer, maybe at least 6 issues, possibly. I think he was always going to be, down because he has other stuff going on. But it's absolutely gorgeous, stunning artwork. You also get a sneak preview of Grant Morrison and Liam Sharp's Green Lantern, which is going to be more of a police procedural, but absolutely worth picking up. Justice League Odyssey #1. Cyborg, Starfire, Jessica Cruz, Green Lantern, Azrael, Darkseid all together is great. So crazy artwork, Josh Williamson, crazy story. It's just phenomenal. And pick it up because that's a kick in the teeth. You drew a complete issue and it got deleted and the master got deleted and you have to restart over from scratch. I don't know how they did that. So that's going on with that. Because it was supposed to come out at the same time as Justice League Dark. Justice League Dark #3 is out this week, and a very creepy cover here. It's written by James Tynion IV with art by Martinez Buena. Where's his name? Alvaro Martinez Bueno, and Raul Fernandez is the inker. So very creepy. Justice League Dark is their supernatural team. Apparently next week they're doing a weekly series in October called The Witching Hour with Justice League Dark. So there could be some interesting things about that. So we'll see that next week. So I'll be picking that up as well. I'm just buying this now just to see what the story is, but I have been I don't know. Doomsday Clock #7. I mean, we're more than halfway through. I mean, Gary Frank's artwork looks good, but this story by Jeff Johns is just like, he just wants to do a Watchmen story, and I'm not a fan of it. I like the artwork, but the storyline is just dull, boring, and stupid, and it's a sequel to Watchmen, and it's not necessary. And I don't like it, but I'm going to keep getting it because it's a big deal and I'm a glutton for punishment. So I'm going to pick that up, but I'm not going to be happy about it. Batman Kings of Fear #2, continuing Kelly Jones's artwork, written by Scott Peterson, just in time for Halloween. Kelly Jones did a run on Spider-Man, a Batman in the 90s, which was coincidentally around the time that I wasn't reading comics, so I never actually really got to see it, but I've always liked Kelly Jones's artwork, and his version of Batman is actually interesting. So I'm looking forward to the remainder of this miniseries as well. Batman's a busy guy because he's in Heroes in Crisis. He's in Batman, Kings of Fear. He's in Doomsday Clock. He's also in Action Comics #1003, written by Brian Michael Bendis with art by Yannick Paquette, which is interesting because I thought Patrick Gleason was going to be doing the artwork, but maybe it's one of those things where he's just doing a fill-in for it right now. Still not a big fan of Bendis' Superman, but it's good enough that it's interesting enough that I'm going to probably keep reading it for a little while longer, but it's just not all that in my opinion. The Flash, I love this cover. It's a great cover. Joshua Williamson writer Scott Collins artwork. Scott Collins did some of the old school Jeff Johns stories, stuff like that. So continuing that storyline as well. Pretty interesting thing as well. So Josh Williamson's been on for all 55 issues of The Flash, which is really cool. Then we have the Terrifics number 8, Jeff Lemire, Dale Eaglesham. I love me some Tom Strong. This is some interesting Plastic Man and Mr. Terrific and Metamorpho and Phantom Girl all together as a team. It's like their version of the Fantastic Four, but I like the fact that Tom Strong is in it. I'm very happy for that. So Silencer number 9 is the only other of the New Metal series I'm still reading. This one's written by Dan Abnett with art by Patrick Zurcher, who, coincidentally enough, has followed me on Twitter, which is great. So I'm going to keep pushing Patrick stuff because his artwork is solid. Silencer is one of those really good ones. Dan Abnett's doing a great storyline. And it's nice looking. So keep that up. That's it for DC. Said Marvel, all the books from Marvel have one character in it except for one. And we did that. It is Amazing Spider-Man week here at Marvel Comics. Newest issue Amazing Spider-Man number 6, written by Nick Spencer, with art by Humberto Ramos and inks by Victor Olazabo. Nick Spencer continues his storyline. This is the new story arc. And I love seeing Peter and MJ together. We're getting a more view of some of the other lesser villains and it's good to see Humberto's artwork again. Not that I like Ryan Otley's stuff as well, but it's always good if you need to have a sub coming in. Humberto Ramos is a good one. So I love this cover, and I love Amazing Spider-Man again is good. This is Chip Zdarsky's last issue of Spectacular Spider-Man, number 310. I wanted to get his cover, but it was sold out by the time I got to my store. So, hey, maybe if I go down to Comic-Con, maybe I can find a cover of his story. But he did the art and wrote the story. It's a standalone story, which puts a capper on his run of Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man, which has actually been a very good, surprisingly so, I guess, very good Spider-Man story. And I'll give him credit where credit is due. So good on you, Chip. Edge of Spider-Geddon number 4 is the final part of the introductory prelude miniseries before the big deal. It's written by Aaron Cooter with art by Aaron Cooter and Will Robson, with inks by Craig Young and Will Robson. So we get some more of the alternate reality Spider-Mans who we're going to be meeting and seeing in the actual Spider-Geddon storyline. So we have that going on. And speaking of that, Spider-Geddon number 0 is out this week. So this is starting, the Spider-Geddon storyline is starting up right here. It's written by Christos Gage with art by Clayton Crane. And it's also a story by Jed McKay with art by Javier Garron. So you get the, I believe that's the PS4 Spider-Man. It makes an appearance. And Superior Spider-Man and so on and so forth. So you've got all these different types of stuff going on. So that's pretty good there. And then the backup story is this one. This is all going to lead into Spider-Geddon, the series. So I think next week there is a crossover in one of the other Spider-Man books to Spider-Geddon, so we'll see. And finally, I had to get this because I love this series so far. Domino Annual number 1. It's the only non-Spider-Man book here. Written by Gail Simone and a whole bunch of artists. And I looked through it, and this is an amazing book. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stories. Gail Simone actually only wrote one of them. Gail Simone wrote one story with art by Victor Ibanez. Fabian Nicieza wrote a story with Juan Gedeon as the artist. Dennis Hopeless wrote a story with Leonard Kirk art. Domino and the Rejects, written by Leah Williams, with art by Natasha Bustos. And Leah Williams also writes a second story with Michael Shelfer artwork. So you got a Gale story for Domino, which is what this one is, how she met her squad, I think. This is how she got her squad together. And then you have, I love this picture. You have this story by Fabian Nicieza, who wrote Domino originally in New Mutants with Cable. And then you got her relationship. Apparently she had a relationship with Colossus at one time. I like this artwork too. Some nice looking artwork there. And then, you know, some good stuff. So you got a really good batch of stories in Domino. The series itself has been excellent. So that's a well-worthy pickup there. That's it for Marvel. Independence. Man-Eaters #1 has an interesting story behind it. It's written by Chelsea Kane, art by Kate Nimzik, and Rochelle Rosenberg. The creative team was on Mockingbird for Marvel. And they sort of they didn't get in trouble when she did a cover with, asked me about my feminist agenda. The Comicsgate assholes came out of the woodwork and practically pushed her off of the series. So then they announced that she was going to be writing, Chelsea Kane was going to be writing the Vision series, and then they decided to cancel that as well because they don't want to deal with the Comicsgate assholes. And Chelsea Kane, in turn, did an interview where she totally trashes on Marvel, which, you know, might be rightfully so. So this is her own independent book she's doing with her same creative team from Mockingbird called Man-Eaters. It's about women who turn into killer cats and kill people. And so you get a nice female-led comic series, interesting premise, and nice artwork and story. So definitely worth pickup. It's #1. Why not? What do you got to lose? Also, for fans of the Netflix series Stranger Things, guess what? We have Stranger Things #1 comic as well. I haven't told my daughter about this yet. She loves the series. She's going to be freaked out when she sees this. It's written by Jody Hauser, who I love. Pencils by Stefano Martino, inks by Keith Champagne. It's basically going to cover his time in the Upside Down, Will's time in the Upside Down. So it should be a pretty interesting read, particularly if you like the series Stranger Things. Nightmare Before Christmas #4. #3 came out like last week. #2 came out before that. Just they're trying to get caught up. This is the manga sequel to it. It is written by all these ads. I don't know. It was usually DJ Milky Ishiyami Array, but it's nice. If you like Nightmare Before Christmas, it's a nice little kind of sequel following Zero's trip through Christmas Town and some other stuff as well. You get some of the other characters in it. And there it is. DJ Milky, Kayoshi Arai, Kai Ishiyama, David Hutchinson. So good series for that as well. Beasts of Burden #2. Evan Dorkin, Benjamin Dewey, about talking dogs that help fight off the apocalypse. So it's a cute series. I think Colleen Duran did a version of it or two. So they deal with all kinds of supernatural stuff. And finally, we have Red Sonja #21 is out this week. And it's written by Amy Chu and Eric Burnham with art by Carlos Gomez. So continuing the great series, Amy Chu's having a lot of fun doing this. And Red Sonja. So that is the Comics Haul this week. Some good stuff out this week. Definitely worth your while to go check out Baltimore Comic Con and definitely get some of these books. If you can't make it to the convention, try to catch out some of these books. Definitely worthwhile. It's a pretty good week this week. Look at some stuff for next week. Next week has a really interesting thing, and I don't know if I'm going to put it on the haul, but I'm going to let you know about it. October 6th is 24-hour Comic Day, which is an event where not everybody gets involved with it, but certain stores or places or groups get together, and you're supposed to make a complete comic book in 24 hours, which means you have to write it, you draw it, you ink it, you color it, you letter it, and you print it or make it and reveal it. And you have to come up with a story within the 24 hours and get it all done in a 24-hour period. So what DC is doing is they're releasing 3 blank books. A Superman, a Batman, and a Wonder Woman. They all have the Batman #1 and Wonder Woman #1, Superman #1 on it, but everything is blank. They want you to make your own comics. So I think that might be something I might get for my kids because they like to draw. You don't necessarily have to do, I guess, a story about Wonder Woman, Batman, or Superman, but it is going to be, that's going to be the title. So if you want to do a story like that, that might be good. And hell, maybe I'll get one for myself and see what I can draw. And I used to be a nice cartoonist, but haven't done it in a while, so we'll see. So yeah, we'll talk about that next week, and we're getting into October, so we're gonna start getting into some interesting October stuff. That's about it. So thanks for watching. Definitely, if you have a chance, Baltimore Comic Con is this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you're in the area, come on down. It's not that expensive. It's a lot of fun. You're going to see a lot of creators, And if you want to get some VIP experiences with some of the famous media people, go into the website and order your packages now and get your tickets. I'd recommend get your tickets online as well, because it's going to be, I was in line for about an hour a couple of years ago when I went because I didn't get tickets ahead of time. So, definitely check it out, and maybe I'll see you down there. All right, take care and have a good one. End of September.